community we can help with. And we obviously support landowners and businesses in all of their legal needs. Now, we've got a few members of our team in the room. I think a lot of them are sporting these very nice gilets, so if you wanted to catch up with anyone from the team as part of this discussion, then please feel free to do so. What I'll do is I've got a couple of questions for Tom, but if anybody from the floor wants to raise a question as well, then please feel free to do so. Switch that one on. So I think one of the issues that I mentioned just now is how the rural community can help support the police and the initiatives that you're undertaking. What sort of support and help would you find useful from the people in this room and members of the rural community?
Good morning everyone, first of all. I think the overwhelming answer to that one is engagement. We want this to be a two-way thing, so at the moment we've got several methods that we use to engage with the general public, not necessarily specific to the rural community, but in general, which include online platforms, meetings that we attend, that sort of thing. But as always, we want to hear from you, and we want to do it in a way that you prefer to engage with us. So I guess what I'm looking for today really is suggestions, recommendations, how can we engage with you better? If anybody's got any ideas or preferences of how they like to engage with the local police or how they would like to engage, then we're all ears. I mean, the team at the moment, as you can see, are sat at the back there, that's half the team. They go to things like ploughing matches, events like this today, and just try and maximise their visibility to try and spread themselves as much as they can to engage with as many people as possible. But like I say, you tell us, because at the end of the day we serve you as our public. So if you've got a preference and you've got some ideas, then by all means share them with us.
And I mean, we come across a number of issues that are pertinent to this. For example, we have clients who have issues with fly tipping on their land, theft of agricultural equipment, vandalism, these sorts of issues. What sort of trends are you seeing? What sort of areas of criminality are on the rise at the moment?
I would say for us as a team, it's seasonal. So, at the end of the farming season, when the crops are cut, we'll see a lot of hair calls increase. The team, as much as they hate it, will change their shifts to work later hours and be out there hunting out the hunters, so to speak. But it is, as you will probably see, you've got your ears to the ground, you probably know more than we do in terms of what's going on. But we dial in and connect with other rural crime teams around the country. We sit in regional meetings, national meetings. We're fed into by the National Rural Crime Unit, who update us on trends that are going on up and down the country. It is, as you would expect, it is fly tipping, which affects those of you in the room who are landowners, you know how annoying that is and how inconvenience it is. Theft of plant and agricultural equipment is something the team are keen to keep their ears to the ground on, and have had several good results recently in recovery of plant and equipment. As you say, the issues that you just listed are pretty much on the money.
And are there any sort of initiatives that you've got underway at the moment, or any ideas for how people can actually support you in any initiatives that you've got underway at the moment? For every crime type that we deal with, we as a team deal with everything from fly tipping, as I say, to hair coursing, to the theft of plant and agricultural equipment. There's individual initiatives for each of those. The key thing for us, just at the start, is the engagement from you. So the more we can hear from you, we've got WhatsApp groups set up with farmers and landowners, with over 1,800 members, people can feed in directly to us and tell us what's affecting them. Other online platforms, as you expect in today's day and age. So the more we hear from you, the more effective we are in tackling the issues that are affecting you. So I would say that's the key initiative really, is about the engagement that this team carries out. But that over the last year has taken precedence in terms of the activity they complete. It's very much geared towards being out there and being visible, and listening to you to find out what's affecting you.
As I understand it, you sit or you support the Kent Business Crime Advisory Group.
Yes.
Can you explain that role and how the rural community can feed into that? 'Cause I think that's not just focused on rural crime, that group, is it? That's business crime more generally.
Yeah.
So how does the rural community, the agricultural community, ensure that their voice is heard within that group?
So that is something that we're trying to develop at the moment. So at the moment, the Business Crime Advisory Group, as the name suggests, they consist of representatives from different business groups, Chamber of Commerce, for example, and they sit and discuss crime trends right down the country. At the moment, from the meetings that I've attended, it predominantly sits around urban businesses, what you would expect in a town centre sort of area. I'm keen that they have participation that represents rural communities, rural business owners. So we're having discussions with several people at the moment about setting up a group that feeds into the Business Crime Advisory Group. So if anybody wants to volunteer to be part of that group, and in particular chair the group, that would be amazing. If that's one thing that could come out of today, that would be great. So the idea being that you would have your own group, which you would get together to discuss what's affecting you, what issue you think we should be aware of, and then the chair would come along to the Business Crime Advisory Group and feed in to the general group.
How can you be more visible to the farmer? Because today we see you driving around in your vehicles, don't we? Can you be in contact with a farmer on a grassroots scene? Can you go and visit him occasionally and say, what is the problem in your particular area? I know Kent is a big area to cover and you've only got a certain amount of people in your team, but can you be sort of visiting the guys out in the field or the farm managers and ask them what they require of you, to be more visible, get out of the car. I mean, I'm not being nasty, but come and see them occasionally and speak to them and that sort of thing. Can you do not a better job, but can you sort of do that job?
Yeah, I mean, obviously I think we could do a better job if there were more of us, but...
Obviously monetary circumstances.
Yeah. I mean, we're restricted at the moment in terms of numbers. We've got 11 PCs out on the ground. We've got PCSOs that have just been added to the team. The team's just been given another sergeant. So there has been an uplift in the last 12 months.
But it's nice to talk to somebody and see them face to face.
Exactly.
It's all right sort of with the guys who are here today, having a chat with you and you're asking questions, but to visit the farms occasionally and sort of say, what's the problem in your area at the moment,
Yeah, and I know they do. I mean, they'll be sitting there going, in their heads, they'll be thinking, well, we're out at the time. But it's a huge area. So they can spend all day, every day out and about talking to people, and there'll still be people out there saying, I never see it.
Yeah.
So for all the will in the world, they can't be everywhere.
Yeah. But coming to shows like this helps, does it? Because we should see the ploughing matches, community events, that sort of thing, if you can have officers there having a little chat with everybody. So that would be great to see you out there anyway.
Did you mention you've got 11 PCs to cover the whole of Kent?
Whole of Kent,
and PCSOs as well supporting that?
So at the moment we've got 3 PCSOs out of the ground. We should have 7. We're looking to uplift as and when we can, put one maternity leave. So once we're up to strength, it would be a good number of people out there representing the team. But
it's still spread very thin across the county.
Well, I thank you for answering my question anyway.
As much as we can, we will always, now that the emphasis is on engagement, we will come to events like this as much as we possibly can.
But on the other hand, obviously, we don't thank you enough for what the job you do anyway. I appreciate you being out there for us when we need you. So thank you for your services anyway.
Thank you. Thank these guys. It's not me.
I did earlier.
I don't know if there's any questions from the floor. If you want to throw it out to anybody who's got any particular burning issues they want to raise.
Are you making much headway with the hair coursing?
Do you want to answer that one?
Yeah, go on. So yes, we've started now implementing a new sort of way for Kent to deal with them. So what we're doing is issuing them with something called a community protection warning, which is then followed on by a community protection notice. If they breach those 2 notices, it's then sent basically straight to court. We are seeing that is working. At the moment, I think it's around 18% reduction in crime. I know it's not great, but it's a little bit of something. It seems to be working, and the other reason for that is because at court they can impose an awful lot more than we can, unfortunately. And then again, after breaching that, every subsequent time it is then arrestable as well. So it is a massive inconvenience there. We're doing what we can. We're gaining a lot of information from our farm watches, from yourselves out and about. You're all fantastic at identifying hare coursers and poachers and their sort of vehicles, and we're getting that information fed through to us. So we are on it. Unfortunately, again, it's seasonal, but we do try what we can. We try. If you've got any other ideas or anything that you think will help us, we're all ears as well for that.
Seems to me that thanks for that. Reporting is perhaps part of the picture. You can only go out on the investigation if you've actually had a report, and if people have the confidence that if they come to you to report it, it gets investigated and hopefully a resolution. So generating that confidence that people do come to you. Presumably that's quite an important part of the initiatives of going out there and speaking to people.
So part of that as well is, it's not just the reporting, it's the consistency of reporting as well, because we've got to show on our systems that unfortunately everything is systems based. So it's all well and good people saying they've still got issues, but if it's not officially reported, then unfortunately the powers that be can't see those statistics. So although sometimes it might seem like we're flogging a dead horse, it is always, every single call is worthwhile making. Because unfortunately if we don't know about it, we can't deal with it, and then we've got to justify where our resources are. So if someone's constantly having issues and they're saying, what are you doing about this, then we kind of need to ask the question, well, how many times have we reported it? So we always try and deal with every single report that we can with the information given. Just keep reporting it. It's always worthwhile doing, even if you think that there's, they didn't do anything last time. Every case will be reviewed on its own merit.
Presumably that then feeds into allocation of resources.
Absolutely.
County-wide.
Absolutely. And not just amongst us, because we are obviously a team of 11 plus PCSOs, but we feed into a wider picture as well. So you've got beat PCs and you've got the rest of Kent Police as well, because if we're not on duty, they're the officers that are going out to it. So we feed all that information into the big machine. So it's not just us 12 or whatever.
Can I ask another question? So is there a helpline or somewhere we can contact? Farmer say if a farmer got a bit of a problem, but he doesn't want to ring 999 or 111 as it is now, or whatever it is now. Is there somewhere that we can contact you guys and sort of have a general chat about what you're worried about that's in the area, what's going on in the area, but you don't want to report it because you don't want to be seen to be reporting it in the area. But not so much as sort of like someone to talk to.
Yeah, absolutely. So we've got the farm watches, which I know there's an awful lot of members in here because they've all come and said hello and everything. It's great to see you all. So if you contact us through Farm Watch, just asking for a phone call, that's quite a popular thing.
But you won't be left on the line waiting for half hour.
No. So if you want to report something, then that is slightly different. It does need to go through, whether it's 101, online, through Messenger, one of those ways. But if you just want to have a chat, we've got Rural Matters. They've got all of our contact details in for each area. So if you're from the West, for instance, then you've got our team's numbers on there to contact us directly. The email accounts on there as well. So there's an awful lot of ways to get hold of us, and we're trying to push that out by being at these sort of events.
And a website for someone to look up problems in the area or something?
It's all on the website.
It is on the website.
So yeah, if you go onto the website, there's almost like a search bar. If you put in your postcode, it comes up with your beat PC, and that'll be specific to your area. And our rural team's contact details are also on there. We are generally quite easily accessible if you know where to look. So we're just trying to put that out there to everyone so that people can ask us.
Yeah, I mean, being out in the field, it's nice to see you out in the field, but we talk about reporting a certain group in the community, but you don't want your barn set on fire, do you? If you reported something, that's what the consequences could be like, you know what I mean? But if you're on top of it before it gets to that sort of stage, and being able to contact you, have a chat with you, saying we're worried about this, what's going on in the community. Could you send an officer around to have a chat with this person and put his mind at ease, sort of thing, Yeah,
absolutely. And a great deal of our work is probably built up of that. So it may not feel like it, but we certainly do spend a lot of our time visiting the farmers and the community and stakeholders, and trying to provide that.
It's just putting their mind at ease, you know?
Yeah, you're certainly not the first person that said exactly those words to us, to be honest. I think everyone from our team will have heard that, and you're absolutely right, we completely understand, and we do try and work with you to put things to a stop before they become more of an issue.
If you're visible in that particular area when it's occurring, not so much when it's occurring, but when it's going on, then it sort of, everyone's on their back foot then, aren't they? Rather than sort of, it's no good turning up when the barn's on fire, say, you know what I mean?
Yeah, absolutely. And although that's kind of where the reporting side comes into it, it kind of generally stems back to that, because if we've then got a bigger overarching picture, then we can ask other officers to go out and perhaps give a little bit more of a presence as well as just us. So
yeah, presence in the field would be a great benefit to all the communities, I would think so. Anyway, I thanks for answering me all them questions.
Of course.
Appreciate it.
Thanks, Shilton.
Do you have any other questions from the floor?
In terms of reporting, does it count through WhatsApp? Does that count as reporting, or do we need to do it another way?
No, so as Luke said, if you need to report a specific incident, you need to, unfortunately, do it the old-fashioned way. The beauty of the WhatsApp groups is that it encourages discussion. So if you've got concerns about ongoing issues, or if you become aware of some information, you think, well, I'm not sure that's worth a formal report, but I want to at least let them know about it, then that's the beauty of the WhatsApp groups. The officers carry it with them. So when they're on duty, they're patrolling around in the areas, they're looking at groups to see what's being discussed and what that's about. So that's the beauty of that. But yeah, unfortunately, if you need to report an incident, you need to queue through the control room, I'm afraid.
I think you mentioned when we were talking earlier about some initiative to put QR codes out into the community. Yeah. Is that a link to reporting, or is that to get information?
That's more of a raising awareness thing of how things affect farmers, landowners, when you're trying to run a business in rural, really. So it's a new idea that's in development, which a farm manager suggested to us at a meeting recently. But basically the idea is we would supply QR codes that can be affixed against posts anywhere you can imagine, really. People can scan them when they're out and about walking, they can link through to media, the idea being there'll be video footage of farmers and landowners talking about how issues affect them. So if someone's just gone out to the countryside for the weekend and they've taken their dogs and they're letting their dogs run wild, it's a bit of an educational exercise on how things affect you guys when you're trying to run a business.
So it's aimed at the public, essentially, to raise awareness to...
Yeah.
So they just know the things they should or shouldn't do.
Exactly that, yeah, which, when you live in the countryside, you guys operate a business, it's obvious to you, we all get it, but if, there's people who only go out there every now and again, they don't really understand about the land, they don't understand how things work and how things affect you. So it's about that, really, but doing it in a polite way rather than running across the field shouting at people. It's taking a friendly approach, really.
And as I'm sure everybody here knows, the value, the price of agricultural equipment is astronomical.
Yeah.
You spend £250,000 on a piece of kit.
Yeah.
Has that driven an increase in crime? Do you see these are those the sort of bits of kit that are being stolen, or are people targeting smaller bits of kit that are easier to...
It's a mix, we see a mix. I mean, one of the guys were cutting a tractor recently, I think the value was about 160,000. Again, the beauty of that job was that we found out where it was through online platforms, through people talking about it. So the team were able to act on that and go out and find it. But yeah, I mean, over the years, I worked in the rural crime team 10, 12 years ago. I wouldn't say it's increased, it's just been consistent throughout those years. And the type of people involved is what's changing. So it used to be, British residents, it used to be people who live amongst our communities who just happen to be involved in that sort of thing as their business. And, crime is their business. But now we're seeing people from abroad, people from Eastern Europe who are in the country, they're stealing things and exporting it, and it's going out through the ports. Done a lot of activity at the ports recently, where we're basically down at the port of Dover with their police,
checking vehicles as they're going out, having a snoop around in the back and getting their hands dirty, see what they can find.
I suppose the idea is that disrupts the business model as much as a detection issue, because if people know they're not going to be successful in nipping a bit of kit, shipping it overseas, then that's going to hopefully to suppress the levels of crime in the first place.
Yeah, exactly that. Yeah, I mean, the more, as always, the more we can do to deter it in the first instance, that's the best approach, I think. But the days of action that we do, where we work with colleagues at the ports, it sends the message out. It's not going to be easy to get rid of it once you've stolen it.
I think another thing as well from what we try to do recently is work a lot with the manufacturers as well. And this come up from a recent training. So people like Hitachi, for instance, quite interested in spending an awful lot of money on securing their bits of plant and equipment. Some manufacturers aren't, and again, that's a bit of an issue, and sort of trying to involve them a little bit more, because certain types of quad bikes out there have only got a key, for example, and they've been using the same key since 1986. So you can buy keys very, very easily for a couple of quid on eBay, and then that's ultimately a very easy way of stealing quite an expensive bit of kit, such as a quad bike or plant, things like that. So it's raising awareness as well around other security devices that are out there, because we are seeing a massive increase in anyone that's on farm watches almost. There was a spate where almost every single day there was another farm been hit for a quad bike or things like that. So it's trying to increase the security and be a bit of a deterrent. Obviously it's a massive inconvenience, because if you're riding off a quad bike all the time, then it's got to weigh that up. But there's other things that we're trying to do in the background to make their lives more difficult. But again, that's a bit of an ongoing process. But otherwise we're putting together operations, we've said, and trying to deal with it in the interim as well.
Any other questions from the floor?
Yes. A lot of these machines have got trackers on there, haven't they? And they track to certain places, and then nobody will go near them, apparently. Is that right?
I know what you mean, and no. So trackers are fantastic. They're great bits of kit, but unfortunately, we know they do get ripped out as well by certain types of people. But generally, if they go to a certain place, then they're staying there for a while, then we can get a few resources together and we can work a plan around it. So I know where you're coming from. I do understand, and I think that's probably a little bit of old stereotyping from a long time ago. So it's not quite that's the case anymore. Because ultimately, if anyone finds it, sees that there's an active tracker somewhere it shouldn't be, and it's registered as stolen, I know that everything we can do, we will do to get that back. Yeah, hopefully that sort of gives you a little bit more confidence. We're certainly not scared to go on places. Some places need a little bit more resources, but it doesn't mean that we're going to shy away from anything, certainly not.
Okay, thank you. I mean, you are under pressure. There's only a few of you. I'm in Sussex, so there's a massive group there as well.
Yeah, but that's the beauty of our team, really, is that we can sort of deal with things on a case-by-case basis. We do an awful lot of engagement side, but at the same time, it's quite nice that actually we can get everyone together for doing such things such as that. And we've got a lot of contacts within the police as well. They're all very like-minded, and we can normally get the resources together for a specific purpose that's kind of time critical, such as something like that.
Yeah. The councils are having their budgets cut. How's that going to affect you? Is your budget's going to get cut?
Did you say you don't live in Kent? So I think the council tax preset for us has actually just gone up. So I think our budget's okay for now. Our PCC is a really strong supporter of us as a team. I don't know, he wanted to be here today, but he has just announced about a month or so ago that the preset is going to increase, and obviously that funding at least maintains the team. It might not see an increase, it might not see an uptake in resources, but I think we're safe.
Yeah. One final question. Do you think farmers could help themselves a bit more by being a bit more secure? Because you go through some farms, there's no game, nothing. You just drive in, there's nobody around.
Yeah, I think there's like a box standard list of crime prevention advice techniques that we always give to people. And it's lighting, it's gates. It's then, decent locks on your outbuildings. Big dog if you can get hold of one. It's one of my favourites. But the other thing is property marking, so making sure that everything's marked up effectively and it links back to you. Because one of our consistent frustrations, and it has been as long as I've been in this job, is that we knock onto sites where we're doing warrants or we're arresting people because they've been involved in other things. We lay eyes on a massive pile of equipment, tools, tractors, whatever. And in our eyes, we're convinced it's stolen. It must be. It's like, why else would it be here? But we can't link it back to anybody because it hasn't been registered. It hasn't, when someone's ringing in saying, my tools have just been stolen, the court taker will say, is there anything distinguishable about them? Is there anything that identifies them as yours? 9 times out of 10 we get, I'll have to dig that out and get back to you. And then they don't. So it just makes our job really difficult when we're trying to recover things and return it to the rightful owner. So anything you can do really to mark it up, keep records, that's the most effective way of doing it.
You can be secure. My son had a quad bike stolen. The main gate was locked. They came across the fields. They cut the lock off the shed.
Yeah. I mean,
So
anything
you can't use nothing you can do about that.
No, I mean, it's anything you can do to slow them down. So, the door gates that they've got to go through to get in there in the first place, the better. If they've got to cut 3 locks off before they can even get into the yard, then it's going to slow them down, isn't it? But we work as late as we can, and we're out as many different areas as we can. And like Luke said, we link up with all the other teams to keep them up to date with what's going on and where they should be. So information sharing is the most effective way of dealing with crime. But the more people can do to protect themselves, the better.
I think also having a physical presence on site as well, because a lot of farms, there may well be a farmhouse with some buildings immediately around it, but there might be a barn storing expensive equipment somewhere far off. And I think with sort of trend towards larger farms, it seems to me that's probably going to be more of the case. There's going to be fewer individual farmsteads, but more scattered, rural, isolated locations. So actually having a physical presence on site presumably acts as a big deterrent as well.
Yeah, it's huge. I mean, but in addition to that, the technology that's out there these days, like the CCTV and the monitoring equipment that's out there, the price is coming down because it's getting easier to produce it. So it's worth the investment, as I would say.
Question there?
And I wasn't going to come in here today, but because of the coffee and the bacon sandwich, I was sat here listening quietly. I've been on our farm, the farm, we've been a victim of crime 5 times over the last 4 or 5 years. We've had quad bike stolen, we've had sheep stolen, we've had sheep attacks. We have had the police out on 1 or 2 occasions. Normally when you ring, the police don't answer, so we find it easier now just to go onto the internet and report the crime. Then someone will come back to us. We're given a crime number and we're told to get on with it, and that's it. And I find that really, really frustrating. And your presentation sounds perfect, but it isn't perfect. We all know that. And the police don't instill me with any confidence. We've got alarms on our barns, we've got TACAX laser beams, CCTV. This has all been given to the police every time they have been out. And we've had footage of them actually stealing the ATV. And we've heard nothing. What was that, 2 years ago?
2 years.
Yeah.
We had one incident where a guy was walking his dog across the field, he let it off, it attacked the sheep, we had witnesses, he was arrested, he was interviewed, I gave a statement. 4 years on now, we're still waiting for a court hearing. It's becoming, I don't even know who our rural crime officer is. No one's made it known to us who he or she is. And we don't see any presence in our village of police cars or anything like that.
Whereabouts are you from, sir?
Western in Kent.
Western. Okay. Unfortunately, that's myself and my colleague Tom. But we will touch base with you afterwards, if you don't mind as well, try and address some of them concerns. It is very, very difficult, and unfortunately we do get frustrated as well as police officers, because while we're out doing the engagement side and trying to do preventative sides and proactive as well, unfortunately it does get very frustrating when you're looking at the investigatory side, because like you say, you give police everything, and sometimes for whatever reason it might not necessarily go anywhere. The court side is really difficult because unfortunately that's not governed by us, that is purely just the court system. So again, we do share your frustration with that as well, because 4 years, not without knowing the case, it sounds like a very long time. What we'll do is we'll speak to you afterwards if you don't mind, sir, and we'll try and get your location and everything, and we'll try and talk about what we can do possibly to help you moving forwards, and maybe have a look at whatever you've reported before as well.
I think the biggest issue is the amount of officers that are out there. We were told that there's only one unit each night that has to cover 4 or 5 counties. And hands on heart, you yourself could admit that just isn't enough. That isn't enough.
Yes, I know.
There's been a sharp increase in theft, quad bikes, ATVs, garden machinery. And I'm sure that the police know who's doing it, but nothing's being done about it.
Yeah, I can certainly understand from your perspective why it might feel like nothing's being done, but I assure you with all those reports and all those investigations that come through, they will be looked at on an individual basis. So things will be happening. Ultimately, with things like quad bikes, through a specific example, we can only work on the evidence we're given. So if you've got really good CCTV, that's fantastic. But we also need to get the any identifications that we can, and any vehicle indexes, and then something to work on a little bit more towards that. So unfortunately, the criminals that are doing this are quite clever in some aspects, because this is ultimately their professionals, and that's what they do, it's how they earn their living. I'm not making excuses, but it just makes our jobs incredibly difficult, and rest assured we hate it as much as you do, we really do, because we take it on our team quite personally. We've all got some sort of rural backgrounds, and we know what it's like, and we try and do everything we can. But unfortunately it is a problem anyway as well when you look at, so it's not just in the rural sector. If you look at any side of policing, any side of investigations that reports are made to us, there are people that are frustrated because it feels like nothing's being done, and that unfortunately that goes across the whole board of policing, and so it probably doesn't fill you with much confidence, but it is not an issue that's specific to just the requirement. So I probably didn't help, but we will have a chat afterwards if that's okay, so thank you.
Can you introduce I know you said you're a small team, can you introduce your team so it's a face to, when they turn up on the farm, they, I know you've got a few colleagues here with you today, if they could, not obviously give them their full names, but their first name, perhaps they could introduce themselves and tell me what area they're from and what they do in that particular field.
Should we get them all up?
I think so.
Do you want us to do it like a Mexican way?
I think you should be up front and centre, guys. So you can introduce yourselves then.
I'm not on that team, so I'll just say.
Come on.
We're not on the team, we'll say hello.
Yeah, come on.
With other people.
It's just that so we can put a name to the face, sort of thing,
Yeah, they like that.
So this is
Close together.
just to put things into
No, can you closer together rather than further apart?
I'll let the photographer do his business first.
Are you doing it from CSAS or are you doing it for you?
Down for me, go on.
I might talk you after. A bit closer, still.
Little ones at the front, big ones at the back.
Come forward a bit. That's it. I hear you talk behind.
Cool, he's fussing, isn't he?
A bit. Great stuff. That's fabulous. And a big smile. Fabulous, thank you. Inspector Tom, you say Maxted? MEPSTED.
Excuse me, guys, I'm going to sort of push in front. Sorry. Go on, away you go.
Right, I'm just going to pass this along rather than do an intro.
I'm not part of the team, I'm just here for numbers.
That's a copy.
But I am Community Engagement Sergeant for the force, my name's Ben Crook. Moving to actual the team member.
My name's Mark Pennicott. No. That's what I need to do now. I'm Harry Callahan, I work at Canterbury, covering the East Division.
Thank you.
I'm Amy White. I also County Canterbury and cover East Kent.
Thank you.
I'm Adrian Goodsall. I was on the North Lawn team, but I guess they're coming in across at the moment. So I was the 12th number, so that's why they're down to 11. But I'm still on paper, I'm still on the team.
Thank you.
Yeah, I'm Tom Smith, so I'm on the west side of the team working out of Colgarbour and Aylesford. We cover Maidstone, Seven Oaks, and then Tunbridge and Morning and Tunbridge Wells as well, so it's quite a big area.
Thank you. I'm Mark Pennicott. I'm based at Faversham and cover the North Division.
Cheers. I'm Luke. I work with Tom on the West Division based at Cold Harbour Police Station as well. So this is just one half of our team. There's another half that's not here today. But if you come see our stand afterwards, we've got copies of Rural Matters, and in the front page of that, we've got all of our details with the correct contact numbers for us, and including email address. So,
Thanks, guys. I appreciate that. I'm sure everyone in the audience appreciates it as well.
Okay, thank you very much. I don't know if there are any more questions anybody wants to throw at.
Just one thing. I know you chaps have got, girls have got a difficult job, and you can't be on it 24 hours a day. Thank you for what you try to do. So we know you're on outside, hopefully you're on outside. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Okay, everybody. I think you can be dismissed now.